Rose McGowan, a woman who has placed herself in some sort of feminist movement, is now stumping for a man who sees women as second-class citizens. Now, I'm specifically talking about the gubernatorial recall election in California. Gavin Newsom might be recalled. It's really too hard to tell based on polling, but if California voters do in fact vote in favor of recalling him, the person who is likely to replace him is Larry Elder, who's got a pretty long history of treating women in a way that makes it clear that he sees them as second-class citizens. Now, why? Why is she supporting Larry Elder, and why did she decide to stump for him over the weekend? Well, McGowan denounced the Democratic Party throughout her endorsement speech for Elder, claiming that Newsom's wife, Jennifer Siebel Newsom, offered her hush money in 2017 to stay quiet regarding her sexual assault allegations against Weinstein. Now, as far as I know, there's no evidence of her paying hush money, and if she did pay hush money, that would be a serious allegation. But she does claim that the entire Democratic Party is or was protecting Weinstein. Newsom's wife denies these charges through a spokesperson. She says that it's disappointing but not surprising to see political opponents launch these false attacks just days before the election. Their limited correspondence has been strictly as fellow survivors of sexual assault, and in Jennifer's former capacity leading the Representation Project, an organization that fights limiting gender stereotypes and norms. Now, during her speech, McGowan also said, quote, "Do I agree with him on every issue?" Meaning Larry Elder. No, so what? He's the better candidate. He's the better man. And I think that we'll maybe have a discussion about whether that's true in just a minute, but here's a little more from her stump speech.
Why not change? Why not go big? Why not put a stake in the heart of evil? Because that's what this really is. This is good and this is evil. And if you're tired of people looking at this country like it's the Florida of the world, which it is looked upon that way because, it's earned it in a lot of ways. I know this place has it in it to be better. I know it does. I've met so many good people in this country. Not the elites, absolutely not. But the person I meet, that's the housekeeper at the hotel I'm staying at. Who shouldn't even have that title because she's a queen of a woman. And then we have the Jennifer Siebel Newsoms of the world. Why? Why do you keep choosing that? Why do you keep electing that? Don't listen to their buzzwords. Cult leaders, which is what these people are. I would know, I grew up in one, like I said. They massage your mind. They keep you in fear. They keep you in doubt. I kind of suspect on the inside that this is all a lie, but I don't want to be the one that stands out and takes it on the chin. Well, I'm here to confirm for you it is a lie. It is a fact.
Listen, I'm no fan of Gavin Newsom. I'm certainly not in favor of replacing him with a lunatic like Larry Elder, but no one elected Newsom's wife to be the governor, and she's not the governor, she's the governor's wife. With that said, McGowan cares a lot about the issue of sexual assault. So I don't know, maybe she didn't know that Larry Elder has not only made disparaging comments about women, but specifically disparaging comments about women who have been sexually assaulted. His disparaging comments have been as recent as January of 2017, when he deleted a tweet that implied women taking part in the Women's March were too unattractive to be sexually assaulted. But he's the better man. He's the better man. He's the better man. Anyway, go ahead, Cenk. I have more, by the way.
Yeah, so look, I think it's kind of a little bit sad to watch. I think, I don't know her personal mental health situation, but when you get unhinged from reality enough to think Larry Elder is the better choice for women, I gotta start questioning your judgment. And so, and it's not political in the sense of like, hey, I like Gavin Newsom's tax position better than I like Larry Elder's tax position. No, it's on this issue, right? And so, and so look, let me be fair and tell you what she said about why she's making this accusation. And it's not impossible. So, for example, she said, apparently, she claims, Gavin Newsom's wife said, "What can Boies Schiller do to make you happy?" Okay, now, Boies Schiller, what is that? Well, Boies Schiller Flexner is the law firm that represented Harvey Weinstein. And so, and it turns out the son of the co-founder, Jonathan Schiller, is Josh Schiller and is a sister-in-law to Jennifer Newsom. Okay, now does that mean that she's actually connected and actually said those things when she called Rose McGowan? I would be surprised. That's a hell of a thing to say to a person you don't know. And some of McGowan's comments have not proven to be perfectly accurate. She went on to say, McGowan did, "I had no idea who that was, so I just had nothing and hung up on her. That was my last contact with her." Well, I mean, if you say that she said this mysterious thing about this law firm and then you instantly hung up on her, even though you didn't know what that law firm was or what those series of names were, well, then how are we supposed to know what she actually meant? Even if your story is 100% true, you never even gave her a chance. And so there's a lot of issues here that makes me go, this doesn't sound like the most credible story.
I lost track. So how many degrees of separation was that from Gavin Newsom?
Yeah.
How many degrees of separation?
It's Gavin Newsom's wife's sister-in-law's something.
Oh, okay.
Sister-in-law. How could Josh be a sister-in-law to Jennifer Newsom?
Yeah, so understand that stump speech wasn't about, hey, Gavin Newsom did a bailout that he shouldn't have done to PG&E, which has sparked many vicious wildfires and destroyed people's lives as a result. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about the homeless issue. It wasn't about any of that, right? Look, I do not like Gavin Newsom. I voted against the recall. And the reason why I voted against the recall is because there are no candidates who would replace him and do a better job. In fact, all of the other candidates are pretty awful. Larry Elder being the top of that list of awful replacements, okay? And for her to make, it's about me. That's all this was, that's all that was. Me. Based on something that's, I don't know how many degrees of separation from Gavin Newsom himself. And you're playing with people's lives. Look, I know, Jake is actually, I respect the fact that you're being considerate about potential mental health issues that Rose McGowan has, but she's messing with people's lives and it's not cute, it's not funny. And this is exactly what people are referring to when they discuss white feminism, right? Because white feminism isn't about doing something in a collective way to ensure equality between genders. White feminism is about me. That's it, that's all this was about. And it was disgusting. Let me give you more from Larry Elder since that wasn't enough. Let's go to the next clip. This is Larry Elder on his radio show talking about women.
You know, when you look at all these women that have marched, something like 2 million women, Donald Trump has probably gotten more obese women off the couch and in the streets working out than Michelle Obama did in 8 years.
Sounds like he cares a lot about women. What a great guy. There's more though. In the early 2000s, Elder maintained a page on his personal website on women and domestic violence statistics, citing 3 articles that alleged a narrative that violence against women was exaggerated for political gain of feminists. Would love to know what Rose McGowan thinks about that. One more. He said, quote, "Women know less than men about political issues, economics, and current events. Good news for Democrats, bad news for Republicans. For the less one knows, the easier the manipulation." You know, women are all just idiots that are easily manipulated by smart men.
Yeah, and of course, Larry Elder on other social issues that I hope people like Rose McGowan at least pretend to care about, like racial issues, is horrible. So the reason why Republicans love Larry Elder is it's a person who's African American who says that it's the fault of African Americans at every turn, and makes them feel like they have peace of mind about the racism. Larry Elder has said, well, the slave owners should have gotten reparations because they were losing property. We showed you that clip last week. And he said that he was glad George Zimmerman was doing neighborhood watch in Trayvon Martin's community, and he'd like it if George Zimmerman was doing neighborhood watch in his community. I mean, that's just absurd. He's an absurd person who, like many minorities in the conservative circles, are paid to be there because of their particular demographic, but only under the condition that they speak out against their own demographic, their own culture, their own people, etc. So to back a guy like that because you think that you had that somebody, Gavin Newsom's wife said 2 names you think before you hung up on her. No, but if you had real evidence, we're very open to it because we don't like Gavin Newsom because I don't think he's remotely progressive and I think he works for corporate interests. But right before an election, you're gonna go put your weight on Larry Elder, who has this awful track record, because you think Newsom's wife said 2 names that you didn't investigate because you hung up immediately. No, I'm sorry, but that's just not credible enough. It looks like you're being, at a minimum, used for political and electoral reasons in a way that's a little disgusting.
And I leave you with one more graphic on this story. In his books, Larry Elder endorsed pregnancy discrimination, according to a report from Media Matters, suggesting that working mothers aren't dedicated and available for an all hands on deck commitment to work. What a warrior for women's rights. Good job, Rose McGowan. Proud of you. Real proud of you.
She said he was the better man. Yeah, it doesn't look that way, no. There are a lot of great ways to watch the Young Turks, but is there a best way? Of course, the best way is to watch live. Tune in weekdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. You get our uncensored, unapologetic version of the news that you won't get anywhere else. Watch us live.